There are many different ways to exercise. All of them have some value, but is one of them the best? Yes, lifting weights. In fact, there's 5 reasons why lifting weights is actually all you need. Let's get into this.
All you need.
This will be controversial. Now, I do want to make this case that you don't have to do it this way, but if you wanted to, and all you did was have weights, you could accomplish everything you need from a physical performance, health perspective with just weights.
I don't know why this is still controversial. I don't think it should be, and I think that absolutely this is true. I know that we get into it online with people over the whole cardio thing, but I laugh at that because most people that are talking about cardio they do, or they're talking about lists, like slow, low, steady state type cardio. And if you have ever barbell back squatted 20 reps of anything, it is way easier on like cardiovascular wise for me to jog for 10 minutes than it is to do a few sets of those. And so the benefits that you get from that are just as good, if not better.
Well, let's get into it. And I'll start with the obvious one. We'll start with the easy one, right? For building muscle and strength, lifting weights is the best. Duh. I don't think I need to make this argument. But it's when it comes to the muscle building process and getting stronger, there is no form of exercise that even comes close. This is like comparing a dragster to a tricycle. Yeah, a tricycle will get you to your destination, but it can take you forever and maybe never.
Yeah.
Whereas a race car will get you there quickly and will for sure get you where you want to go. Lifting weights builds muscle and builds strength. It does that better than any other form of exercise. Now, other forms of exercise have other benefits, but when it comes to muscle building and strength building, other forms of exercise are completely inferior. In other words, trying to modify other forms of exercise like Pilates or yoga or cardio to build muscle and strength is a complete waste of time. It's actually almost a complete waste of time. Like 15 minutes of strength training will beat all the
square
attempts.
peg in a round hole.
Yeah, because you get people with like, oh, my Pilates, we do strength training, or my yoga. And what they'll do is try to modify the techniques and the holds to try to build strength and muscle. But it's like, they're just so bad at doing that one thing that if you want to build muscle and strength, like even if you lift the weights for 10 minutes, you'd be better off.
I think we have to unpack that a little bit or define that better for people, because obviously there's a little bit of truth in it. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to market it and sell it that way, right? Because if you modify yoga or you do Pilates, there are some strength training benefits.
That's right.
But very little and for a very short period of time of training that way, right? So what is it that about traditional strength training that is so different than my Pilates strength training?
Well, there's two main differences. One, the most important one, I think, is progressive overload. The amount of strength and muscle that you will build doing other forms of exercise, even if you modify them for strength and muscle, is going to be just enough to perform what you're doing. So when you first start doing yoga, you're not strong enough to hold a pose. Later, you are strong enough to hold that pose. And so how do you progressively overload that? You hold the pose longer. Well, now you're starting to tip into stamina and endurance when you hold for too long. Whereas with weights, you add weight to the bar or do another rep. So long as you stay within a particular rep range, it's all strength and muscle building. So the potential is massive for muscle building and strength building with strength training. With other forms of exercise, it's severely limited because those forms of exercise just don't lend themselves well.
It's very entry. It's like 0 to strength stability, which is the first part of any goal towards like building strength. You have to create that environment so it's stable enough so you can your body gets that signal that now it can allow for more force production. But as you do that, you have to then press out of that and progress. And so, using other methods like holding it longer or like making it more isometric or tempo can only get you so far with body weight movements versus now we got to add some load, which helps to, give you that external signal a little bit louder.
Right. I'm trying to visualize it. And if I were to draw like a graph, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it would look like this, where it's like, imagine the strength training group with traditional weights, the other person like with Pilates. In the first 6 to 12 weeks, I still think obviously weights would be climbing as far as results.
Faster.
Faster. But so would also be Pilates. And then after about 6 to 12 weeks, Pilates would do this
That's
while
it.
this continues to
From
do
a muscle and
you're gonna
strength
plateau.
perspective, yes.
And so if you were to look at that graph out 6 months, they're not even in the same universe.
No, go
For the
out
first
6 years. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. So for the first 6 weeks of doing those two modalities, they're not on even playing fields, but they're at least close, and you can make a case for
In the context of, yep.
right. But after that 6-week mark, it's like they go so far apart. It's like it doesn't
it's
even.
not even.
This is why you'll hear
And that's
people,
where the statement comes. I just want to make that clear for the audience, because there's if you come from that place, you've been taught or brainwashed to present to people, the muscle building benefits of these classes, right? And so somebody has been sold on that idea. And so it's like, wait a second, my teacher or my person told me that it does do great for building muscle. And so that what they're talking about is those first 6 to 12 weeks that I'm talking about. And in comparison to weights, it does okay for those first 6 weeks, but just okay. After that, it's not even in the
Just
same.
picturing a guy on a tricycle, like fucking right next to a drag racer.
yeah. The part of this is just kind of go off on a little side tangent is you'll hear people say, "Oh, you just lift weights? You come take my Pilates class and see how well you do." Obviously, I don't do Pilates. It'll kick my butt. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about how hard it is. We're just talking right now, and we'll get to other stuff, about building muscle and building strength. Nothing comes close, not even the same universe as lifting weights or strength training.
Not to mention, if you've been listening to us long enough, you know that we've made the case already that how hard something is does not define how good or how effective it is. So just because something is really hard or you get really sore does not equate to more results.
That's right. Next is stamina. Now, here's what people will make the argument. They'll say, okay, well, yes, for strength and muscle, lifting weights is awesome, but I want stamina. I want lots of stamina. So I'm going to do lots of running and cycling and swimming. Now, to be clear, those are excellent ways to develop stamina. They're phenomenal ways of building stamina. But can you get similar stamina benefits, not specific to the action? Because, of course, you want to get good at swimming, you better practice swimming. Just talking about general stamina and endurance. Can you get similar results with weights? Of course you can.
Absolutely.
High reps or little to no rest will definitely do this for you. It's a very effective way at building stamina, and it comes with a minor side effect of some strength because you're using resistance, and the movements can be so dramatically different in strength training. I could pick so many different exercises, whereas other forms of exercise tend to be very specific. Cycling is cycling, swimming is swimming. Yeah. I can use weights to build stamina in almost unlimited
general everyday stamina.
ways.
You're going to get real good results by just increasing your rep count, as you mentioned earlier. And, going through periods of training with that type of muscle endurance in your workouts. However, the distinguishing difference there and the factors, if I'm working on a skill of swimming or running, that's specific. Yeah. And so, it's not going to translate completely to that. That's where you would venture off. But in terms of everyday overall strength, stamina, and endurance, you get plenty of that.
Today's program giveaway is MAPS Powerlift. If you want to win, leave a comment below this video. The first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. We also have a sale. The Shredded Summer Bundle and the Bikini Bundle of programs are both 50% off. Head over to mapsfitnessproducts.com and then use the code June50 for that discount. Back to the show.
I was going to say the same thing, just in other words, right? If you were doing cardio for the health benefits of cardio
that come from stamina.
Yeah, that comes from stamina, then you're better off doing it through weights. If you have something very specific, like I want to be a good runner, well then you
have to practice.
That's different.
Yeah.
If I want to be a good swimmer, if you have a very specific endurance sport that you want to be good at, then of course doing that sport trumps weights for that all day long. But if you say things like, "Hey, I do cardio because my doctor says it's a good way for endurance, stamina, and health," you can obtain that type of health and stamina as good, if not better, through weights. If you were looking for something specific, that's a different story.
The other category, again, to go off on a side, where I'm like, okay, well then keep running and swimming, is you're like, well, it's not that I necessarily want to be good at those things, but I enjoy it the most. Go for it.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
But the point of this is, if you really wanted to pick one form of exercise for every physical attribute and health benefits, could you do it with just weights? Yes. Not only could you just do it, but you could do it
Effectively.
in an effective way.
Yes.
Here's the most controversial point, and I have data to support this, but the most controversial point is that you could use just weights for flexibility.
Didn't a new study just come out on
Another
that?
one came out, yeah. That you could use just weights for flexibility and you'll get better results than you would from stretching
Right.
from weights. Now, people are going to be
Crazy.
like, what are you talking about? I've never seen a bodybuilder with better flexibility than a yoga, practitioner or whatever. It depends how you do it. It all depends on how you do it. Now, here's why. First, let's talk about flexibility, and then let's talk about mobility. So flexibility is the ability of a muscle to stretch or elongate. Okay, so you go down to touch your toes, you barely touch your toes. Yeah. You want to get more flexible, that would allow you to put your hands on the floor.
You can passively get into
Getting
this range
further,
of motions.
right. But mobility is flexibility plus strength. In other words, having a range of motion is great, but if there's no strength in that range of motion, that's injury land.
Yep.
That is the
instability.
greatest. That is the greatest risk for injury. The greatest risk of injury is high flexibility, low strength. If you look at the data, it's like a 2-year-old. They're unstable, but you can bend them all over, however you want. You put load on that person, and they're going to hurt themselves. Now, strength training, if you perform it for flexibility purposes or mobility purposes, it looks different. You're challenging ranges of motion. You're using a weight that is far less than what you would use for traditional muscle building or strength building. And you use a wide variety of movements because you don't want to get strong in just one direction. You want to get strong in multiple directions, which provides the kind of stability you need to prevent injury. This is the best way to get flexible because you get that range of motion, but you're now strong in that range of motion. Right. And this is what the best coaches know. They know this. It requires a little bit more diligence, but if you want to compare head to head, I mean, this will crush traditional flexibility.
I like this one, and I find it one of the more interesting ones because I don't know anybody personally who, even though this is what the research says, has actually approached their flexibility program with this intent, right? Like,
Sayat.
Did he
Jordan
do that?
Sayat. Remember he was trying to do
Juji Mufu as well, but yeah.
Yeah, Juji would be a good example.
Yeah, both of those. So
did Sayat do it that way?
Yeah, so he was saying how he wanted to get the splits.
Yeah.
So he's doing it with resistance. And he was staying in that elongated range of motion and maintaining tension.
Okay.
That's right, and adding weight.
Yeah, not a lot of people do that.
No, because they don't know.
Yeah, but that is the better route to do it. But yet you just don't hear about a lot of people who are like, hey, I'm working on my flexibility. I'm doing it through strength training.
Yes.
Like that's my. And by the way, you made a point to start that because people use the argument that I don't know a bodybuilder that's more flexible than any sort of yogi or whatever. Well, no bodybuilder does flexibility to be the most flexible.
No.
They do it to stay flexible. Their goal is to build the most optimal muscle. It's not in their best interest. They get up on stage and they have smaller muscle, but they're more flexible than the other guy. They don't win. Right. They're still approaching it from a hypertrophy standpoint. But if they actually took that type of discipline that they put towards building muscle and strength and put it towards flexibility, they would be every bit as flexible.
Maintain a crazy physique. You could.
Yeah.
You could definitely do that. And I think that's one of the rare examples right away. It's Juji Mufu. You're like, how could somebody with that much muscle mass get into these positions and also be as dynamic and flexible? Well, really, it's just about the fact that you've been working on the strength in these end ranges.
That's right.
And so, a lot of times it's good to work on that first intrinsically. So we talk about kin stretch or ways to like increase tension within these poses. Yep. So you support that position, but then you stress test that position. You add load, and so you can actually increase the amount of strength within that.
I'm so glad you said that, Justin, because I don't want somebody to hear this and go like, okay, cool, I'm going to get into this deep splits and then hold 50-pound dumbbells or something crazy.
You need to
this has to be a gradual process.
Very gradual.
And so what the regression to that looks like is kin stretch, which if you're not familiar with kin stretch, it's taking yourself to those end ranges of motion to where like you go into a very deep stretch position and then you drive.
You try to flex that muscle.
Then you create isometrics in that position. And you hear Justin talk about it all the time where when you do that, you gain 20% both directions of strength, right? So that's how you start to build strength there. And then over time, you can progress it with weight. You don't just go straight into a deep stretch position and grab a bunch of weight and think that's a good
That's
strategy.
how you get hurt.
Yeah.
Now, there's two caveats. One is in the higher ranges or in the more extreme cases, muscle mass itself can become a hindrance to certain types of mobility, right? You got huge back. Well, they might get in the way when you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades back or whatever. So like if you're just got big muscles, they can make mobility a bit more challenging just because they can get in the way. But that requires a lot of muscle. Here's a second caveat. You can strength train in a way that'll actually reduce mobility. And what does that look like? Well, I get really strong in certain ranges of motion and in certain planes of movement, and I don't strengthen other ranges of motion and other planes of movement. Now what happens?
Fixed in those windows.
My body limits my range of motion because it's like you're so strong moving in this direction that if you move in this other direction where the ratio of strength is so out of whack, you're going to hurt yourself. And so you start to appear to be tighter. And this is why people think strength training makes you tight. It's because when you look at a bodybuilder who trains in these short ranges of motion and really only cares about developing muscle, they start to move around and look tight precisely because their body is like, we're going to keep you confined to what you train.
Which I love you making this point, because now it's more clear to the listener why you hear us when we talk about, like, there's studies and research to support doing things like partials for building muscle, but we tend to not advocate for it for that simple reason. It's because for the simple reason of if somebody takes that too far and they do all these partials, because you can still build muscle in partials, what you end up doing is you get really strong in this short range of motion, and then that hinders. Unstable. Yeah, then that hinders flexibility and mobility. And since most people are looking for overall strength, want to build muscle, but then also are not trying to put themselves in a position where they're more injury prone after lifting weights than before, is the reason why we don't advocate for that much.
All right, next, this is where I think, and I strongly believe, we have a lot of data and studies that support this, but it's not a mainstream message yet, but I do believe it will become a mainstream message that when it comes to hormone optimization, natural hormone optimization, strength training is in a completely different universe. Completely different universe. Now, to be clear, all forms of exercise, if applied appropriately, will improve your health. Improving your health generally does improve your hormone profile. Getting healthier, in other words, just getting healthier is great for your hormone profile, okay? But that being said, strength training directly affects hormone health through a couple different ways or multiple ways, but the two most important ones, in my opinion, are improving insulin sensitivity. So that's number one. So when you lift weights, your muscles, which are a storage container for glycogen, become hypersensitive to insulin, which is great. So you want insulin sensitivity, right? If you have poor insulin sensitivity, you're much more likely to have things like PCOS. You're much more likely to have estrogen imbalances with progesterone. Growth hormone doesn't start becoming effective. You get mitochondrial dysfunction. Like, it's really important to have insulin sensitivity. Strength training is the best for this. Like, you build muscle, you can store more glycogen, and muscle is very insulin sensitive. And we see it immediately post strength training. And we also see this improving over time with strength training better than other forms of exercise. Then the second is when you build muscle, your body increases androgen receptors. So these are the receptors that testosterone attaches to. So whatever amount of testosterone you have, if you double the amount of receptors you have for that testosterone, you essentially have twice as much testosterone. Yep. It's that much more effective. More usable. And this is important for men and women. For women, testosterone is just as important as it is for men. We just have different ratios. So when you increase receptors, which happens immediately when you start lifting weights, like this is one of the first effects, your testosterone becomes more effective. So you've essentially made yourself insulin sensitive. Testosterone is like having more testosterone. We also see data that supports that strength training may actually directly raise testosterone as well. And then we see balancing of hormones like cortisol and growth hormone receptors start to upregulate as well. So it starts to push you more towards this optimized hormone profile in ways that other forms of exercise don't even come close to.
I love to see the movement in this that we've seen in the last just 5 years, even 5-10 years. I mean, how many female doctors now have we had on this show that promote strength training?
It's the primary form of exercise.
And just go back, say 15, 20 years when we were training, it's like you didn't hear that at all. Not at all. And so it's really cool.
So impactful
to see all these female doctors that come on here, and that has now become like a foundation to all their protocols. Is like, oh yeah, no, I get my ladies lifting weights right away. And so I feel like we've known that for men for so long because it's so closely connected to testosterone. And so that's always been something that's been talked about, or for a long time it's been talked about for like men's hormone health or testosterone in general. But for female hormone optimization, I don't think you have heard about it as much as you've heard about it in the last 5 years.
No,
so.
you know when I figured this out was as a, I would say probably 10 years into my career, I had my wellness studio. At that point, I started making great relationships with some forward-thinking hormone specialists and functional medicine practitioners. So this was 15 years plus ago, maybe almost 20 years ago, and probably 15 years ago. And at the time, it was hard to find functional medicine practitioners, and it was hard to find hormone specialists that were really forward-thinking. Luckily, my studio was in the middle of Silicon Valley, so we tend to get the best of the best for certain things. So I found some, and I started working with them, and they were blown away by the results that my patients got from a hormone perspective by training with me and working out and working with them. And they would ask me, what are you doing with them? Like, her hormones are, and I'm like, we're lifting weights. Well, how often? Once a week. What do you mean? Oh yeah, like, and they started to show that when they got stronger, the hormones started to improve, and the results in terms of the hormonal effects started to improve. This is when I started piecing this together at the first time.
By the way, though, and I'm glad you went that direction, because this can also be bad for you hormonally if not applied appropriately.
Oh.
Because I'm sure there's somebody who's listening right now who's like, the opposite was true for me. I started training 7 days a week.
Overtrain and you're screwed.
And then the opposite happens. So if you have poor sleep and your intensity is through the roof and you're low calorie because you're trying to diet, and then strength training looks like, oh God, it's not helping my hormones at all. It's the opposite, but it's because of how you apply it. This, again, another reason why you hear us advocate for 1 to 3 days a week and moderate intensity and two reps short of failure because of things just like this, because applied incorrectly and it can have adverse effects. Applied correctly, it can have profound effects.
Yeah, and two, like just one more added kind of benefit, obviously, like with female clients, I notice this a lot, and you've mentioned this quite a few times of like, avoiding osteoporosis and like bone health and integrity and strength. The most impactful version of that is lifting weights versus all other forms. It just doesn't even touch it.
If you put it's building muscle and strength, you might as well say building bone.
Building muscle, bone, ligaments, it's all there.
Nothing will build your bone like strength training.
Or how many times have we already on this podcast given a woman the advice to increase her calories, go build muscle, and she regains her period?
Yeah.
I mean, countless times we've seen that on live callers, and of course we've experienced that with.
I have two clients.
Balancer.
I have two clients that got pregnant just from doing that.
Right.
Literally, they came to me and they were having fertility issues. That wasn't our goal. Again, I was a younger trainer, so I'm like, I'm not touching that. But you have to eat more and you got to build some muscle, and then boom, they got pregnant.
It's all part of the process.
Two clients. Finally, this is an easy point to make. Aesthetics. Aesthetics are subjective. But generally speaking, there is a general idea of what looks good, what doesn't look good. Name one form of exercise that allows you to pick parts of your body to develop.
None.
In shape, right?
None.
Yeah, you can't do that with other forms of exercise.
Only one.
Yeah. So,
This to me is, I mean, of course,
this is a good selling point.
It is. This is mostly what you present as a trainer. I mean, yes, there are some people who look for general health. Yes, some people just want performance and strength, but most people come in because they, unfortunately, they come in, they finally get there because they're unhappy with how they look, and nothing will reshape, sculpt a body like lifting weights. There is no form, no other modality out there that even comes close to what you can do with strength training, to that point where you can be that specific, where someone can come in and say, hey, I wish I had a little bit broader shoulders, but a smaller waist, but a big butt. Like, you can literally ask for those.
That.
Yeah, and then you can go, cool, let's get to work. Like, we could literally build a routine around those specific goals to obtain those specific goals. That's incredible. There's nothing else you can do that with.
In some cases, you can even change the way a muscle looks. And I say in some cases, it has to be the big ones, but you can literally be like, I want more upper chest, or I want more outer butt, or I want the middle of my butt. Like, we can actually do that.
You can spot build. You can't spot reduce. You can spot build. So you could actually work on defining muscles and specific muscles, but losing. You got to lose overall fat.
Yeah,
that's
of course,
just something we always have to say.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Do you want to improve your squat without injuries? Do you want to have a stronger squat? Do you want to have a deeper squat? We have a free How to Squat Like a Pro guide. It's totally free, and you can get it right now. In it, we describe details, exercises, techniques, and ways you can improve your squat so that you start to squat like a pro. You can get it for free right now if you click on the link in the description below. I want to talk about a peptide stack that now I'm seeing people are. Do you guys remember a while ago when I said that thymosin beta plus BPC 157
Wolverine stack?
Yes. So people have talked about this stack as being a great stack for recovery and healing. Fact, we know this, right? You combine those two, and this is anecdote, but these are the people that we talk to who go through our partners at nphormones.com. This is my own. Injury healing is like 40% faster. In some cases, even it's actually kind of wild. If you have, like when I tore my hamstring, that combination, I'm actually cautious working out because I'm like, I feel like I'm totally healed, but this is way too fast. That would normally have taken me 4 months. It took me 30 days and I feel like I'm back to normal. So we already know that. But do you guys remember me talking about how when I'm on that combo, I'm just leaner? I just get leaner and I feel like it's like almost like this muscle building.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a mechanism. So I saw Jay Campbell list that combo as one of his top 5 fat burning peptide stacks.
Interesting.
So he listed, now of course above that was like the growth hormone releasing ones and the
So he's not saying
GLP
it's
ones.
the best, but he says
One of the top 5 though.
Wow.
It's one of the top 5. And it's not traditionally known as a fat burning stack.
What is it? Just your body performs better when it's
one of them tamps down inflammation. The other one regenerates tissue.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because I'm assuming that's coupled with lifting weights.
Yeah.
Because if you couple it with lifting weights, then it should theoretically accelerate the muscle
just the
building
recovery
process.
turnover. Like
Yeah, it should accelerate the recovery process. And if it does that, then it should speed up the metabolism, which in turn should burn body fat. That would be the mechanism I would guess.
Yeah, so that's what I would have guessed too, right? Like as a kind of a secondary side effect. But actually, in the data, they both increase growth hormone receptor density.
Oh,
interesting.
So your body has more receptors, muscles in particular, but also connective tissue, to growth hormone. So now your growth hormone becomes more growth hormone. Just like I said with androgen receptor density earlier.
Yeah.
Now, whatever growth hormone you produce, it's like almost like you're taking growth hormone because you have more receptors.
Interesting.
And so that's probably because it's like what you said, Adam. I'm like, is it that?
Right.
But it's more than that. It had to be because I would be on both of them. Like it just makes me like look different.
So is there any benefits then, Sal, than taking something like what's one of the testosterone with couple?
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah. You go into growth
So
hormone
like
releasing.
a Wolverine stacked
It'd be like a fat burning stack or whatever.
stacked
it's
with
called
the growth hormone.
what you'll get with that? Like healing, that's like ridiculous, right? Growth hormone goes up plus those 2 peptides, which also accelerate healing to it.
Well, you had me do that, right? Now I was taking. I actually have growth hormone, right? So I was taking that with that stack when you tore my injury, and I remember you saying that I should take the testosterone or the what's the other one? I always forget the name. What's the one that kicks me up?
No,
Ibutamoren.
Ibutamoren. Yeah, Ibutamoren. And I mean, I healed fast. I healed so fast.
It's almost
it's scary fast.
It is.
So I think that's important to note that.
It
is
you almost like you feel like, is this real?
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful because of how fast you heal. I think that's the one caveat to it is that okay, you're going to get better sooner, but you still should slowly progress.
Yes,
and you have a tendency to want to.
I have a theory around that. So because the question is like, well, if you're healed, you're healed. I don't think your central nervous system heals as quickly as your body can with those peptides. So I think the recruitment patterns are still a little off. So take time in getting back to your old weight, even if you feel like you're.
Well, would there also be a lag on the ligament and tendons, the muscle repair? I would think the muscle will repair faster, and then the ligament and tendons.
That's typically how it is. So maybe that's the case. Although BPC speeds up the healing of tendons and ligaments.
I mean, I definitely.
But they're just slower than muscle anyway.
After we started working with Transcend and doing stuff like this, obviously I've never really been into the peptide world until us recently, right? You're more into that stuff than any of us. But I'm a sport nut, and I 100% believe now that my buddies and I, long before I even knew what a peptide was, would be like, how the hell is that possible?
Yeah.
With these athletes?
How did they come back within 3 months?
Yeah, it's like or shorter, like
year.
6 weeks. Tears an ACL and he's out 6 weeks and he's back on the field. And these guys aren't like just healed. They're
playing professional sports.
They're out cutting and doing things that don't even make like that would just rip my tendons and ligaments off naturally, like without even being injured, right?
You wouldn't be confident
it just doesn't. It doesn't math for it. Never math for me where it does now. Now I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. These guys have had access to this for way longer.
And they're using all of it.
Oh yeah, and hyperbaric chambers, accelerating it up. Like they're doing.
Come on, dude. If you're a franchise, how much?
Yeah, you're a valuable asset.
You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, like how much do they pay one of the top basketball players?
40, 50 million.
So you're looking at them like a $50 million investment. And so you're like, you're going to get thymosin beta. You're going to get BPC. We're going to put red light on you. You're going to get the best strength and conditioning correctional exercise.
And
you're going to sleep.
And they have a guy dedicated to them that. So it's so serious that when an athlete now gets hurt, they don't even see their teammates. They're like their full time is to recovery. Yeah, it's like they have a very strict schedule of all the things that they do. And I just think that the general pop doesn't get to hear the peptide stacking hormonal stuff that's going on behind the scenes. They get to hear the other stuff, like, oh yeah, he does cold plunging and he does this. Kind of like the basic level, but they're also like taking they have to be. Now it makes sense to me. It never made sense when we talk about those injuries. Like this is, and I get they're genetic anomalies. I get that they're freaks of nature with their bodies, but that still doesn't make sense. But now it does. Like, oh, these stacks are what these guys have. They've probably had it for over a decade, maybe longer.
Longer, I'm sure.
Do you know what the history is?
I've been around for a long time.
Yeah, I know, like the 60s.
Yeah, dude.
No.
Yeah, we've identified some of these peptides.
Like BPC 157 has been around since like the 60s. No way.
We identified it a long time ago. I don't know about the 60s, but it was longer than like 5 years ago. It was a long time ago.
See, 1993.
93
when we isolated it. So
wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
So fine.
And we barely started talking.
Yeah. So fine. 10 years later, they have it now in injectable form. That's 2003. That's still 20 plus years ago.
Still 20 years.
Yeah. You know? I mean, late 90s, you're taking me back to high school. That's when I'm having these conversations. High school, college, and after, as my buddies and I are having these sports debates.
Yeah, you don't think that these, billion-dollar franchises
what we used to think back then, because steroids was the only thing that we knew that was
that it was just that.
Totally.
That's old science.
That was exactly what we all thought. We all thought like they're all beating the steroid test. They're all taking steroids, and steroids is taking care of all of it. It's like shit. They're doing a lot more than just that probably.
And to be clear, that definitely helps. But like anabolic steroid and growth hormone like tech or date, like we've had that forever.
Yeah.
Like athletes have been using, we've known what they do. In fact, if you go through the plethora of anabolic steroids, most of them were invented in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I don't think they came up with too many new ones afterwards. Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, I got to tell you guys about a park incident with my kids. I took them to, that park that's in Los Gatos. They have like an ice creek or whatever. And I take my kids over there and we're throwing rocks, because I love doing that. My kids love doing it. We're throwing rocks. And there's this little boy on the other side of the creek. Oh, no. And I start hearing him yell, "Don't throw rocks!" Don't, he must have been told by his dad, whatever. But I'm like, whatever. He's far. He's on the other side of the creek. My kids aren't gonna, they're barely throwing it in front of them. So we're just having fun. The kid starts to cross the creek. Right now, it's not high. It only comes up to like your shin. So he starts crossing over, and I see his dad in the back, and he's holding a baby. So he gives his wife the baby, and he follows his kid. So this kid comes over. And I'm like, all right, we're just going to all play together. And as soon as the dad sees me, he goes, hey, man, he's got atomic energy. My son's got atomic energy. I said,
he just straight told you?
Yeah, I said, okay.
Atomic energy.
Yeah. And then by the way, the guy was a fan of the show. So he's like, hey, your name's Sal, right? Yeah. He's like, oh, I love your show, whatever. Bro, this kid was, how I tell you stories of my nephew, how he's just on fire all the time?
Yeah.
That was this kid. So they were throwing rocks, but this kid kept trying to throw rocks in the direction of my kids.
Oh, God.
Kept trying to splash them. And this poor dad, he was trying to be, you could tell he's a good dad. You could tell he's really involved. He's trying to be calm, redirect his kid. But this kid's doing stuff left and right. I was like watching him. I'm like,
that's got to make you feel good about yours. You're like, because sometimes your kids can feel like they have that kind of energy.
Funny.
To see a kid that's got way more.
Well, some boys are just like that, dude.
Atomic
I mean, that's my best friend's son is like that too. You have to.
And he was a happy kid. You can tell he's trying to play.
Yeah, you just got to keep those kids busy. They have to be doing something physical and busy. Like, I imagine Justin was that kid. Don't you imagine he was probably that kid?
Probably.
I was really into sports, and that was it. Like I every second of the day I was practicing something because I had to. Yeah, they kicked me out of the house. So yeah, probably.
Yeah, dude. My brother was like that.
I didn't get in trouble a lot though.
No, my brother was like that, dude. He was just always just.
Now, were you chill? Were you totally chill?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I loved. You give me a book or something on TV that I was into, and you can leave me alone forever, and I was totally fine.
I was chill too.
But
I liked sports, and I would play, but I got into that later. But I was like, I could just kind of chill. Yeah. I'm like Max. Max has that. He's like the next level. He's like me with my wife's chill personality, which is why he's so chill like that.
I love it.
It took me forever to like reading. I did not want to sit down, dude. Sitting down was the worst.
Yeah. No, I could sit forever.
Speaking of dad stuff, have you guys seen the new viral trend? I want to do it because I think it would be fun. Have you guys seen it? The father-in-law trend?
No.
Oh, this is funny. If you guys haven't seen this, Dylan, have you seen the father-in-law trend yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, this is good. So this is like a husband and wife. So next time you guys are late, like call your wife's father and wish him good night. Just out of the blue, like at 8 o'clock at night. Like, hey, Dad.
Just want to say goodnight.
Yeah, this is Sal. Just want to say goodnight. And people are recording the responses, and they're fucking hilarious. Because I know if I called my father-in-law like that, he'd be, first of all, I've never called him. So if I call him to wish him a good night randomly like that,
what are you doing?
Good night.
And they're getting like, there's some of them are like, oh my god, you can tell they're heartfelt. They're like, what the fuck you want? You know because it's so in left field. So it's like it's a really cool.
Oh my god, I'd be so confused.
Wholesome, funny trend that's happening online right now. I love when there's cool ones like that. Like when there's like a cool trend that's happening that's like fun and funny and wholesome. It's like that. And
I'll tell you about.
I was like, I got to do that.
I'll tell you about a bad trend that I saw. I was working out at the gym today, and they had the TV playing, and I saw this news report. I guess there's this trend on, I don't know, I think it's on TikTok, of tweens posting their skincare routines. So these are like 12-year-olds, and they're showing that like what they're doing for their skin and whatever, and how great it is. And I'm watching. I'm like, why would you let your kid do that? Like, why would you let your kid?
Who's watching those videos?
And
who's watching those videos? Who are they?
I immediately go there.
Yes, yeah. Like there's people that shouldn't be watching them that are probably predators. And then why would you allow your kid
I told you guys that
to build a following?
That documentary did a whole thing on like because you can totally evaluate the followers of these things.
You can look all that up.
It's not even close.
It's disgusting.
That's why, like, to me, that a parent that lets that happen obviously is very naive.
You're throwing your kid out to the wolves
because you're not just kind of throwing them out there. It's like 80% of their followers are like middle-aged men.
Oh, they're chum. They're just here you go, sharks.
It's like I don't give a shit how famous you are, kid, or how much you're making in YouTube money or whatever like that. To willingly
a million followers, 800,000 of them are probably
and if you knew that as a dad, I don't care how much money the kid's making. I don't know how I could let that sit.
I think these are parents that value
naive.
They value fame so much,
or that
it's a vicarious thing.
Yeah,
it's like those moms, and I'm sure I'm gonna piss someone off. But
we're gonna make it.
Yeah, they put their kids in these pageants, and some of these pageants that you see, like they're all dolled up and makeup and doing those crazy performances, and the parents put all the pressure. I remember I trained this young lady. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to call her out, but I trained a young lady who competed in beauty pageants, and I agreed to take her on. I trained her. She won. So then I suddenly had moms who were interested in me training their daughters. Now these were all high school girls, so probably between the age of like 16 to 18. And I didn't accept any of them because the space felt so toxic when I went to watch the pageant. And I had one particular incident where a mom came up to me with her 16-year-old daughter. I
remember this is what she wanted to tell you, like apples are bad or something.
Dude,
like that.
I almost embarrassed her in front of everybody. She walks up to me and she's like, Sal, you did such a great job with so-and-so. Can you please tell my daughter that you can definitely gain body fat by eating too many apples? And I'm looking at her like with her 16-year-old daughter next to her.
Like, no, I will not say that.
Oh, like I almost was like,
absolutely, I will not say that.
So I was very kind and I said, that's not an issue. And I said, I wouldn't discourage somebody from eating fruit. It's much more difficult. And so I tried to educate, but part of me wanted to be like,
like, what are we doing?
Let me let you have it right now. Get out of my face.
Oh my God.
So
pluck you out of this environment.
I did not take on any of those clients.
I bet. Hey, Doug, how was the birthday?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had a great time.
Doug turned, awesome. Can I say your age, your real age?
Yeah, the real age.
85.
Shut up. He turned 60. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time.
It was a good time.
Bro, I got choked. Could you guys tell I was getting choked up?
Yes, you can tell you got choked up. You're such a softie.
Well, I love Doug. I love him, man. I he's much more than just mind pump, And so I was saying I'm going to get choked up again. I was saying nice things about him. I kept pausing because I was getting choked up, and everybody went around and said something nice.
I thought that was really.
And it was so nice, man.
Shout out to Jamie. Right?
Jamie, my good
right?
friend.
I just want to make sure. Yeah, Jamie, who your long hairstylist, she's been with you for how many years? 20 years almost?
25.
25 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love her.
So I thought it was so great. It was her.
Wonderful.
She's the one who kicked that up. She's like, hey, why don't we all go around and say something?
That's her thing, by the way.
Oh, it is.
She loves doing that at parties.
That's a cool thing. That's
a wonderful
I think
thing.
that's a really, really cool
that was
thing.
cool for this,
it's always
but-
great to have somebody who starts it up like that. Because obviously Doug's gonna be like, how about you all take turns talking about me real quick? You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
No one's gonna start.
Justin just talked about how he wouldn't like it. Could you imagine?
Oh, hell no.
Justin?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That
do it
was
for
good
you
for
anyway.
Doug because I feel like it was good for me. An impactful like.
You wouldn't like that?
Hell no.
Yes, you would.
No.
Look, he's getting red right now. 'Cause he's-
It's
I'd
like
be like,
you don't gotta say nothing.
stop.
Yeah. Hey, real
Everybody
quick,
stop.
we
Let's
should
just
say
keep
something
having
nice about
fun.
Justin
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah. Make you feel really weird now. The
who
rest of
would-
the show today.
You know who would?
I wouldn't like it.
Yeah, you would hate it. You know who would
Yeah.
like it? Adam. Adam would love it. We all went around talking about
Hey, I'll be the first to admit it's nice to people say something nice about you. I'm surprised that would.
I don't know why. It's just
That's weird to me.
It is
You don't
weird.
like to be the center.
You probably need to look into that, dog. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's weird at all to
that
like.
sounds like trauma.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's weird the other way around. I don't think it's weird to like have people say nice things about you and it not feel good. I imagine did it feel good? I'm sure it felt.
It felt great.
Yeah,
it felt great.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool. That we did that and everybody went around. I thought it was great and found out Doug's a great lover too.
Oh my God, that was my favorite.
That's the best
Can we
part.
just say that
They
real quick?
just snuck that one in
We
there.
all go around saying really nice things about Doug, and it was a range of things from being such a great father,
Don Juan Doug. That's his new
to
nickname.
a great friend, how humble he is, how hardworking he is, just all these wonderful things. And it comes to this young lady he's dating. And the first thing she says is, Doug is a really good lover.
Everybody
We died, dude.
Like, oh my God, okay.
I paid her a lot of money.
Just trumped all the rest of our great stories. Everybody had a great story. Nobody remembered.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah,
That's the
I don't know,
pinnacle.
Doug. You got a lot of energy, so I could see it.
That was totally out of left field.
Still got energy in the tank.
That same place that we were at was so funny. We're sitting there. I don't know if you guys even heard when it happened, but we're sitting there. Katrina and I we're on the end and we're talking, and the girl who's doing basically the trolley microphone, whatever you call it. What do you call someone who does that?
MC, I don't know.
MC?
Announcer.
Yeah.
Announcer.
Yeah, I
Tour
guess.
guide.
Yeah, you go like a tour guide, or whatever. She comes walking up, and I'm wearing one of our Mind Pump shirts, and she's like, "Hey," she's like, "I saw a Mind Pump like that." She's like, Orange Theory, Adam. And I go, Orange Theory, Adam. I said,
She
yeah.
said that to you?
Yeah, she said it to me.
Did she know that you were
Well, so
him?
then I said,
You didn't hear
I
this
am he.
conversation?
yeah. So that's why I said that's me, and she's just like, I thought it was you. I didn't want to say it and be wrong or this and that. And she's like, I used to take your class. I love your class.
Oh, no way.
Oh yeah. So she started telling me how much she loved the classes back in the days, and then she name dropped somebody else who I've trained. And
You
I
look
know.
like him. He was way more jacked.
Yeah. That's why I knew it. That's the first thing that was in my head. I was like, man, about 30 pounds less muscle, so I get it. You know what I'm saying? But that was cool. And then we get to the second place, and that was when the owner of the trolley followed us over. And again, didn't say anything until this. She comes walking over to me, and she's like, and I knew right after she said this. It was so funny when she said this because I had never thought about this statement, how many times we've heard this until she said it. And I'm like, oh God, that's a total drop. I listened to the show. And she's like, long-time listener, first-time caller. And then she asked me a question.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, she listens to all the live callers. Now, how many times do we have a live caller who says that?
says
They,
that,
they
right.
come on, they go like, long time listener, first time caller, and then they do the thing.
It's like the
So
cadence.
she approached me about, I forgot what she asked. She asked a question, nutrition related. Oh,
Something about wine,
Yeah,
yeah.
about drinking.
Is it that bad?
Is it that bad? Yeah. And but she started it by saying that. So found out she's a fan of the show also.
That's awesome.
And so that was really cool. But it's super undercover. Both of them we were all together for well before that, and no one said anything. And then they later on.
It was a great time, man. It was really nice celebrating you, Doug, for your birthday.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
It was really touching, honestly, to be recognized that way. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys
Cool
for
way.
doing
You
that.
deserve more than that.
Yeah,
But that's
dude.
yeah, we love
Oh,
you.
I mean,
That's-
you know,
it's a big deal.
That was more than enough.
Love you. All right, so Adam, I want to hear how you use the beef tallow to cook your steaks because I hear about it. This is Paleo Valley's beef tallow. So what do you just cook it in the pan with
So
it?
once we got introduced to it,
Because that's got to taste.
amazing. So previously before that, I always use ghee. So I would always
Right,
I would
which
sear-
also tastes amazing.
Yeah, that's traditionally what I've always used. And then we got that beef tallow sent over to us, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll try searing in this and see what that. And since then, that is all I sear my meat in. I haven't used ghee now in almost 2 years because it just goes so much better with beef.
Of course.
So my tri-tip, my ribeyes, I do I sear at the end. So I cook to a certain temperature that I've got down for whatever meat or cut. And then I finish with a minute on the iron skillet of the beef tallow, and it gives the perfect crust on it. And everybody that ever has it comments on it.
And so my wife has not.
Potatoes and fries, too. Amazing.
I was just
yeah,
going to say
amazing.
exactly to say that.
I haven't done that.
So Jessica
So
takes
good.
potatoes, and she,
You know what?
she boils them. She cuts them in half, and then she puts them
I'm
in
gonna
shallow.
do that. I'm gonna do that after I do the meat with
Yes.
what's left
Oh, yeah.
over.
Oh, bro.
Just
It gives
toss
it that
there.
like kind of
Ooh.
crispy,
Brown,
like,
like-
oh my
oh,
god,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's such a good
I don't know
flavor.
why I
It's
never
my
thought-
favorite potato dish my wife makes.
So can I? I've when people make the smashed, like, do you literally? I've never done it before.
Yeah,
can
you
I
boil them?
Could I? So I should boil them down first.
yes, and then smash them.
Okay, so boil them down
and then you
first,
can cover them in beef tallow,
and
I
then
guess,
just
or
and
butter.
then smash them, and then I can just.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm gonna.
You can
do
boil them or bake them.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You bake them, keep the skin on, right?
That. Yeah.
And then you
Oh,
smash it
I'd
down.
want it. I like
Yeah,
the
you want the
skin,
skin.
with all crispy
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll do like a. Do I underbake it a little bit, just enough to get it soft, or can I full bake it?
I pretty much full bake it.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
could full bake it, and then I'm so.
I wouldn't cook them to the point they're falling apart. For
That'll
sure.
go so. No, I would
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
They
'cause
don't
then
want
you try to
mushy.
smash them, they fall all over the place.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so gonna do that. That'll go so good with my tri-tip or my steak as a side.
And plenty of salt.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
very
Okay.
good.
Do you salt while it's in there or after?
I would salt it while it's in there.
Okay.
And after.
Okay.
You got to add
Oh, wait.
more.
Salt and salt.
You know,
and
you guys
salt.
know me. I'm the salt man.
Yeah, you're the salt king.
Yeah. I got to tell you guys about this. So I was thinking, so it's going to go a little spiritual, but I was thinking about some of the stuff I've heard Arthur Brooks say about happiness. And I made this connection to, to theology or religion that I think is kind of fascinating. So I'd love to share and hear you guys' thoughts on it. So you guys have heard him say this, and the data on this is pretty clear, right? Humans are wired to pursue a goal, but when we hit a goal, it's terrible. Like we don't do well when we accomplish what we've set out to accomplish. We tend to flounder. But when we're pursuing a goal, we love it. This is when we get lots of meaning. There's happiness that comes from it. So the problem with that obviously is, okay, well, like pursue a goal, great. Hit a goal, what do I do now? So what people tend to do is they tend to just constantly set new goals over and over again. But then that leads to fatigue because you keep accomplishing what you've set out to pursue only to be disappointed. Each time you're disappointed.
Yeah.
So from a secular standpoint, I was thinking, well, what would be the solution to that? Well, the solution would be to pursue a goal that you could never attain. Something that would last the rest of your life.
Right.
But there's two problems with that. One is the lifelong pursuit of that goal would have to continue to you'd have to derive benefit from it for your whole life. I can't think of a single goal that would do that, right? Like you can only get so healthy. You can only get so smart. You can only get so, it's not going to give you dividends for the rest of your life. However, if you pursue God, that will give you benefit for the rest of your life. And then it also comes with grace, because you need grace because you're going to screw it up the entire time. And I'm like, oh, here's the psychological, evidence for why people who really have a strong faith tend to be happier because they're pursuing this unattainable thing.
Yeah.
They have this endless supply of grace, which is what he offers you. And you continue to benefit until the day you die from spiritual. You grow spiritually forever.
Wouldn't you say that that's like the secular saying? How's it go? Shoot for the stars, land on the moon.
Yeah,
I mean that's
maybe,
what that is.
yeah.
You know. So, I mean, not that I disagree with you, but just to play devil's advocate, how is that different than just setting a goal that you probably can't or won't obtain, but been pursuing it your whole life?
Because it will eventually stop producing benefit. So let's say you're pursuing health. I mean, that could become orthorexia at some point, or you're not going to continue to derive benefit from it, and you'll see your health decline as you age anyway. Not a bad thing to pursue, but it's your ultimate pursuit.
But again, playing devil's advocate with you, I would say that you could also what some people get, which is like spiritual righteousness, where you continue to pursue that way to where you think you are all knowing and you're so great, and I would make the case that the same person or same type of person that say is producing ultimate health and it turns bad is no different than the person who's pursuing God, but then also turns bad. Then they become a manipulator themselves or become a Justin's favorite cult leader. So I think you can make the case that could also go bad too,
There's
bro.
fatigue in it as well.
It could, but it's not. That's not the ultimate. That's not what happens, or what I should say. That's not guaranteed to happen. Whereas if you pursue any other goal, you're guaranteed at some point to reach a point where that's just not good. So the Bible specifically talks about that, right? Like the only people that Jesus visibly gets angry with in the Bible are not prostitutes, tax collectors, sinners. It's the Pharisees. It's the spiritually righteous. It's the people who are like, no, I'm better than everyone else. And I'm leveraging how good I am because then God's going to reward me. And that's why I'm doing these types of things. So they teach specifically against that. But again,
but it could still lead to it. Talking about a human man who sets goals. If you're taking the example, both.
That's why I think it has to be. That's right. So I think it has to be faith, and you have to believe in the supernatural aspect. I don't think you could do it from I don't believe in the metaphysical, but I'm going to continue pursuing this because then it won't. Because
I think even people that are pursuing it with the right, I think I've seen it happen more often than not than people. I don't know. I don't know any secular people that pursued that without the faith. Most of them do it with. In fact, many spiritually righteous people don't even realize that they're being spiritually righteous.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah,
I would say they probably turn more people away.
Totally
from the faith.
100%.
Yeah, when there's more data. The hardest people to bring back are the ones that have been hurt by people in the church or by churches or by pastors or whatever.
Yeah.
Once they leave because of that, very difficult to bring them back.
Yeah.
So I think that they do tons of damage, and it speaks directly to it.
Totally. I mean, I think that it's so similar to me the way we give advice about helping your family member get in shape is like. It has nothing to do with.
You just got to model it.
Yeah, you don't minister to them. You live it.
The words aren't going to sell them.
No, it's like it's your.
Unless they ask you, like with health and fitness.
Right. Well, that's exactly same thing. It's just like if you
But at
live
that
it,
point they're interested.
That's right. If you live it to the highest level as you can, which knowing you can never reach the highest level. Hopefully it attracts others to pursue or at least be interested in it. And I think
I was reading about Mother Teresa in that case. So you guys know, you've heard who she is, right? So
of course,
she felt a strong calling to serve the poor in India, and she took a vow of poverty. So she said, "I'm gonna live in poverty with them, and I'm just going to care for them and love them." She was revered in India, not just by the Christians and Catholics, but also by the Hindus and people who were Muslim, because she didn't do that. She didn't preach unless you came to her and said, "Hey, what's this all about?" She just cared for people and loved people, and she was revered so much in that country by everybody, and she literally became the light.
Yeah, she immersed herself in that culture.
Was it you who shared it? Someone shared like an AI generated.
Oh, I did, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to read it. I looked at it, but you just made
like if there were influencers, biblical influencers.
Yes. So there's a lot of those going around now on Instagram.
That's so
it's like
wild.
point of POV
So
from
weird.
Jesus. Hey, I'm going off to
I just fed 5,000 people.
Yeah, with
Are they like funny?
lot of Sasquatch
Are they
ones.
designed to be funny, or are they actually like designed to be? This is what we think it would be like.
Well, I mean, obviously it's funny because obviously they didn't have social media back then.
Yeah.
So it's basically taking these icons, if you will, from the Bible and having them be influencers.
I saw
So
one
it is
where-
kind of funny.
There was a guy, and then
That's
there was one
hilarious.
guy. There was one where it was like he was behind him. You could see the Red Sea was parted. He's like, "Oh my God, the water just parted. I don't know how this is happening." He's like,
I got those would be pretty funny. I think.
dude.
Yeah, those would be great, dude. Bro, the things that my brother-in-law, he's got you've seen Larry's Chevelle.
yeah.
So it's all souped up and everything like that.
Awesome.
And he had like some issue with like the throttle body. And so he said that he literally took a picture of it and uploaded it to ChatGPT and spit out exactly everything he needed.
Gave him a diagnostic
from a
just
picture?
Bro, like he should tell a story because I'll probably mess it up because he told me step by step what happened. Because like he even had like a custom part built and it figured that out and told him the modification he needed. Took him step by step. He literally, okay, my brother's not a mechanic. Wow. Okay, he's a computer dork, right? He literally took his car, redid his throttle body, redid his fuel system, retuned the car, all from ChatGPT.
Wow.
And it took him step by step. And even when there was like
taking our job.
Even when there was like little mistakes, he would like he took a picture and said, "Oh, you said this," and then it says, "Oh, my mistake. I didn't see it from that angle. That there was another part," and like figured out that the picture needed to be tilted a little bit more. Wow. And they said, "Oh, this part is perfect for this. Oh, you got that. Excellent." And it's like cheering him on along the way too. Great job. Now do this and do that.
Way.
Dude, he was showing me the conversation. And I was like so blown away.
This is what the fourth. Is this the fourth generation ChatGPT? That's all it is a fourth. You know how many how many?
Now just imagine they upload that to a little robot that's there coaching you, doing the whole thing.
Oh, dude, he showed me the whole conversation, and I just sat there and read the whole thing. I was so, it made me consider like, hey, could I do this? Could I just get under there?
Finally, we're gonna have our own droids,
dude.
Guys.
It was so specific to what he needed, where to order it, send him the link. Here, you can buy it here for this much. Like, then use this, don't use that. Like, oh, bro, it was crazy. And I didn't even think he was like prompting it over. Like he had some real general prompts, like help me do this. I don't know how to do this, or hey, this isn't working. Oh, we'll try this and do that. It's like that. Yes, wow. It's him and I were just tripping out because I've seen other ways people are using it, and I'm like, when I've
seen people get diagnosed. They'll upload their medical records and be like, "What's wrong with me?" And it comes out with a diagnosis because it combines the information from the hormone specialist and the immunologist and whatever, and it's able to compile all that.
I tripped out my family member that used it for an argument. Right, they were having an argument, and they upload the debate that they were having and what the fight was over, and like basically. And I don't think they prompted this way. I think I would be like, as if respond to us as if you were Jordan Peterson. Like you could totally prompt it to do something like that. And like, what would Jordan Peterson say to us right now? And then imagine how useful that could be if you agreed as a partner, as a relationship that, hey, when we get into this, let's just agree, we're going to upload this. Ask Jordan Peterson or ask some famous psychologist what they would say to us, and then just take the advice.
Dude, I just don't see any industry that is not going to have benefit or some kind of impact from AI. There's just everything. Like you mentioned, even manual labor and skills and trades and all of that, they're going to incorporate it.
That's why I was tripping so much about that, because that was like the argument is just like, oh, trades will never get touched. It's like, well,
they're going to get touched.
It's pretty handy.
Yeah, you might not have, for a while, you might have robots actually doing the work, but I already see where they can.
But as a caddy, helping you.
You can already superimpose plans with their phone with apps, and it measures everything.
Have you seen like even with the VR, like how now they can do all the 3-dimensional blueprints and be able to just start, and even with art, right? So you could do murals now, and you just like follow the lines, and it's all like expanded. So now it cuts that time in a fraction of the time to do it.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's
cool. I think
that's cool. I think it's cool that we're
the only thing right now is just, and I was telling my brother, is like, it's just the lag that so many people don't even realize it. Even myself, I still default to Google. But there is no reason to use Google anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to give you such a better answer than Google ever would. But I'm still conditioned to like look up something through Google, and it's like, oh, wait a second, I should just ask ChatGPT that exact question.
It's like watching cable TV.
Yeah.
You know what I've done? What I've done with it is I've done where I'll say, can you compile me the studies that are pro and against X, Y, and Z? And it immediately provides the studies that show this particular intervention or exercise technique or whatever is beneficial. Then it'll show studies that counter it. Then I'll have it break down in a summary, and it's like, it's all right there. And then if I want, I can go into the studies, each one, and go deeper if I want to.
Yeah,
but
super
like that,
helpful.
That used to take me hours.
Yeah.
Now it's like 10 seconds.
Rad.
Joy Mode is a science-backed formula that is packed with ingredients that have been proven to really increase blood flow. What's that mean? Better pumps in the gym and better pumps down there, if you know what I mean. It's actually a pre-sex supplement, although I use it before my workouts. Go try it out for yourself. Go to tryjoymode.com/mindpump. Use the code mindpump, get 20% off. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
Our first caller is Noelle from Virginia.
Hi, Noelle.
Hi, Noelle.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? How can we help you?
Good. How are y'all?
Good.
I usually listen to you guys, so it's a little surreal seeing you. I'll get right to my email and not waste any time. I just said I've been listening to you guys for about a year now, and I value your experience and knowledge and your recommendations. And I wanted to give you props right off the bat for partnering with really good, legit companies. You guys led me to Seed, which has been an absolute game changer for me with my gut issues. I have a medication injury from long-term GLP use, and it is remarkable the turnaround I had once I started using that. So thank you guys for picking really good companies to promote and partner with. A little about me. I'm 46. I'm a single mom to a beautiful 5-year-old boy. I work Monday through Friday full time. I'm on call 24/7 for my job. So my time's limited. Chronic dieter, yo-yo, weight, constantly losing and regaining large amounts of weight. I knew that I needed to be strength training before I found you guys, and I was just kind of grasping at whatever program I could grasp at without really getting any results. My work schedule changed about a year ago, and I wasn't able to get to a gym any longer. So at that time, I bought a Tempo home gym. I subscribed to their service, but I still felt like I was working out too much and not getting the results that I needed. However, people were starting to comment and ask me, what I was doing to lose weight, even though my clothes weren't fitting any differently. Scale wasn't budging. It was obvious that something was working because my body composition was changing. But my body told me last October that I was in fact doing too much, and I came down with COVID. And so I was benched. I was down for about 6 weeks. And so I took that time to really prioritize on letting my body recover. I worked on prioritizing my sleep. And during that time, I really dove into your programs, and I settled on MAPS 15 and MAPS Starter. And I took full advantage of your Black Friday sale last year. So last fall, I think it was around Thanksgiving, I started MAPS 15. I was about 2 weeks into it, and my left knee started swelling up. So I was benched again. Fast forward to February, I underwent my second knee surgery in 5 years. The first one was on the right knee. This time, my surgeon took a fluid sample, and sent it off to the lab and confirmed that I have a disease called pigmented villonodular synovitis, or PVNS for short. So my knees are officially junk. At the time of the email, which was the beginning of April, I was still in physical therapy twice a week. I'm now down to once a week. And just a little update from my email, my physical therapist gave me the okay to restart MAPS 15 with some slight adjustments. So at this point, I guess I'm still asking for your recommendations because you guys wrote the programming. But I can't do Bulgarian split squats. Things like Turkish get-ups are an issue. So I want to maximize the results, my results also, but I'm also still kind of at that point where I'm starting all over again, in that I'm reestablishing the habit of exercising and working it into my day. So I'm not really counting calories. I'm not counting weights. I'm not doing macros. I'm not tracking anything really. I'm not tracking how much I'm lifting. I am tracking reps and time on planks, but that's about all I'm tracking at this point. Right now, I'm just trying to focus on my form so I don't re-injure. But I would just love to know what recommendations you have for people who have knee issues. This is something that will be recurring. It's not a matter of if, but when I will have to undergo another surgery. But keeping strong quads really helps with this disease. So I just want to make sure that I go into this appropriately so I don't re-injure myself and so that I can still get the most out of your programming.
Okay, great question. So I looked up, I had not heard of PVNS before, but I did look it up. And so I read up a little bit about it. So I'm going to start with kind of general advice I would give anybody with joint pain, whether it's, osteoarthritis, there's, autoimmune issues that could cause joint pain, dysfunction, and then something like PVNS, where the synovium, from what I've read, the membrane grows.
Yes.
And it can cause, problems. It can cause problems in the joints and degradation of the joint. And so what they do is they go in and have to remove some of the synovium to alleviate this. So the general advice I give is always train within the limits of what are okay for your body. Okay, and that's true for anybody with any joint issue. So you want to challenge your range of motion, but don't go beyond what would cause pain, the wrong kind of pain. Mm-hmm. Okay. Isometrics are your best friend.
Yep.
So whenever you feel like there's a movement where you're like, man, I can't go past 45 degrees in this squat, what you can do is you can get past 45 degrees and do an isometric, because you're not moving the joint, you're just tensing the muscle while in that position. And isometrics build strength within a limited range of motion, but they will strengthen the range of motion that you can't normally get into. So isometrics are safe, they're effective at building strength, and they don't require you to move in the joint, in and out. So you could get into a part where you're like, okay, I can't go down that deep, but you could put your leg in that position, maybe push it up against something and just create an isometric contraction there and hold that for 10 seconds, just to strengthen that range of motion that you normally can't get into. Physical therapy is great.
Yep.
Correctional exercise is great. And then to look a little deeper with PVNS, and I would guess that, like other conditions where you have cell division that just kind of goes unchecked, that there may be some root in something immune system related, maybe autoimmune. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying this would be the solution, but if I were you, and I'm not a doctor, but if I were in your position, I would go to a functional medicine practitioner and I would look at root cause stuff, which the benefit of will just make you healthier anyway. Maybe it doesn't help PVNS, but you will improve your health. And what they're going to look at is things like gut health. They're going to look at, immune function. They're going to look at inflammatory markers. And then through things like diet and lifestyle and maybe supplementation, they'll be able to address just root cause kind of stuff, which may in fact improve this situation. It may maybe slow it down, or maybe cause it, maybe have it not be so bad or not accelerate so quickly. I don't know. Okay. But that's where I would look. I would go functional medicine practitioner, and let me look at kind of root cause stuff, which tends to benefit everything. Not necessarily a solution, but may benefit everything.
Yeah. In terms of training too, just to kind of bring it back to that, besides isometric training, whenever there's limitations, this is really where, I don't know what access you have in terms of machines. This is where I would look towards more of a fixed situation for extension. I would also look at, like, the sled is a very, very helpful tool, especially if you have any kind of knee pain, joint pain, to still get that contraction without, the added bit of stress that's going to create around the joints by squatting. And so, to also use props. So if you have like access to any kind of suspension trainer doing squats with holding on, stick as well. The Dumphy squat is amazing for this. If you're pushing up and you're creating tension, helps you to maximize your effort in terms of tension, to get that kind of isometric contraction, but also get into ranges where you're going to familiarize yourself there and get stronger, and progressively kind of lower yourself and get depth. So that would be my suggestion. That's how I would kind of like start tailoring my leg exercises.
No, is it all leg movements in the programming, or is it just in particular the Bulgarian split squats and then the Turkish get-ups that bother you the most?
Well, I haven't even attempted the Turkish get up. I haven't gotten that far. Today is actually, I've been back at the MAPS 15. Today's day 9.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten to the Turkish get ups yet. But the issue with the Turkish get ups, I mean, I can get in and out of the floor, but I can't put pressure on the front part of my knee.
Yeah.
I can the right one. Now, granted, I'm 5 years post-op on that knee, but on the left one, that's a no-go. I can't put pressure on the front of it. And I can't, if I'm, kneeled, if I'm kneeling, if you're in a kneeled position and you lean back, I don't have that kind of range of motion yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would just avoid those exercises that are add any sort of discomfort to you and switch them out with the isometric holds. Wall sits, or any of the movements that the guys are talking about. The sled might work. It'd be interesting to see how that felt, because that would be amazing if you could do that with no discomfort, because that'd be a great way to keep leg strength if it doesn't bother you.
You're working out at home.
You should be able to do it.
Yeah, you're working out at home, right, Noelle?
Working out at home. Yeah, the living room is my gym. It's our living room, my gym, and our playroom.
Yeah, so they make sleds that are on wheels that you can increase the tension. And if you have space in your garage or something, you could store it. And then what you could do is a couple days a week, you just push the sled. And it's one of the safest in terms of I would have people do a sled who had surgery, who had knee problems. There's no eccentric, there's no lowering, you're just pushing. And I would keep the intensity moderate. And that is great for building strength. It's also great for building strength in your foot and your ankle as well, which all of that helps with knee stability.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, stay within the boundaries of what you could do without causing the wrong kind of pain. So if that means it's a Bulgarian split stance squat with 2 inches of range of motion, then that's okay.
Okay.
So you could take any exercise and do that. And then the isometrics are literally like, I could sit down, I could put like a chair up against the wall, put my foot up against the wall, and then just push into the wall.
Yeah.
And that's an isometric, for example.
And a lot of times just, even if you're in a squat rack or you have a wall accessible, just to have that little bit of stability while you're doing that, so you can find that range of motion more effectively. So balance isn't as much of a factor. We want to keep it kind of isolated.
I know. I thought about the suspension trainer as a cool tool for her, to where she could use the suspension trainer to kind of hold and support as she gets down in those positions. So that would be
and I wouldn't have even thought about doing that, but that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yep. So always think like that way, especially with your knees. And by the way, it's only your knees that are affected, right?
So far.
Okay. Usually, I just literally read for 5 minutes. It says usually it's the knees, and it doesn't. So. Yeah, I would just stay within those ranges of motion and use isometrics, and I think you'll be great with that. And then I would work with a functional medicine practitioner, because there's been many cases where people have, I know it's not categorized as autoimmune, but it is immune related, because you have cells that are non-cancerous, but they're just dividing rapidly and causing this synovium to thicken, from what I've read. So that is a dysfunction of the immune system. To stop that from happening. And I've had many clients with all kinds of interesting autoimmune issues work with a functional medicine practitioner and just notice a reduction in their symptoms, across the board. So that would be where I would look also.
Dr. Cabral's team is fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we don't, where I live in Virginia, we don't really have much options for that kind of medicine. We have a handful of them around here, but they're really, really, really expensive.
You could do it virtually. Yeah. You could do it virtually and work with somebody.
They are they're not cheap though. That's for sure. I know. It's quite the investment. And listen, if you don't do that, then the self way would be to do like an elimination diet, where you just completely get down to
already there.
Yeah. So and then do that for a while and slowly and experiment yourself by introducing foods and pay close attention to how you feel from it. So that would be the other way to go about it yourself.
Yeah. So far, we've discovered that dairy is going to be a no-go from here on out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you already in our private forum?
I'm not. No.
I'll have Doug put you in there. That way we can keep an eye on you. And as you go through this process, if you have any more questions, you can just message the guys and I inside there.
You know what, Noel? As far as diet is concerned, I do know, and this is clinical. Like ketogenic diets are very anti-inflammatory. Have you tried a ketogenic diet?
I thrived on a ketogenic diet, and I was on a keto diet right up until I got pregnant, and I just never, life just really got in the way for a long time. But I am working with a nutritionist, so that is something that I could bring up, and I have thought to bring that up with her. But right now we're just kind of working on like really healing my gut from, they're treating me like I have IBS. I did a med reconciliation with a pharmacist who actually said you have gastroparesis from the long-term use of this medication. Yeah. So I just have to be right now. I have to be very, very careful about what I eat.
Okay. Okay. Heard that. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have you on the forum and then keep us updated, please.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. When I read up on
that's a first for me.
Yeah, so it's like think of like non-cancerous cell division of the synovium, which is so it's probably under her kneecap, and it's just it thickens and grows, and it can cause
sounds super uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean that's from what I've read.
Pressure,
and so for me, again, I'm not a doctor, but when I look at like cell division, that's uncontrolled, immune system. By the way, ketogenic diet seems to have anti-inflammatory and helps with cell division.
Yeah, I was say anything that keeps inflammation down would be ideal.
Right.
I mean, that's just
no room for that.
Just logical, right? So I'm sure that on the diet, like even if the diet's not going to most likely heal it, but it should reduce the symptoms.
I would think so
quite a bit. But the suspension trainer would be a great tool. Isometrics, sled if she can do it.
I mean, investing in a sled, I just think it's crucial.
Yep.
In a situation like that.
Our next caller is Cody from Texas.
What's happening, Cody?
How you doing, Cody?
Man? Hey, guys. Pretty cool.
How can we help you?
I'll just read my question. I'm pretty nervous. Says, hey guys, I'm preparing my first venture into a MAPS program. I bought several programs, but decided to start with MAPS 15 Advanced because it most matched the workouts I had equipment for at home and workouts that I enjoy doing. I wanted to try the 15 style because I'm feeling fatigued lately from where I was in my own programming I did myself before, and I think at times I was overtraining after listening to y'all. It is also very difficult during the spring with kids' sports and other things, sometimes going late into the night. My question is, I did not see a directive on what weight I should be shooting for, what RIR should be the goal for the workout, and should we generally get a few reps from failure with every set, or what is the target? I like to plan my workouts down to the weight when possible, or otherwise I spend too much time sitting there staring at it and waste time.
Yeah, no, great question. By the way, MAPS 15 Advanced, for people listening, is MAPS 15. In MAPS 15, there's a version that you could do, the advanced version. So that's what he's referring to. Train about 2 reps short of failure. No matter what program you're following of ours, unless it specifically says
a little bit in the tank still.
Go to failure. Yeah, so it's high intensity, but not to failure.
And you may have heard us talk about this before, but this is the tip that I always like to give clients. Because let's say you and I are training the first time, we're getting ready to do bench press. I have no idea your strength, and I guess a weight and I just throw it on there. And I see, and we're going to 10 reps, and you can tell by rep 8, this is super easy. You could have done double the weight. What you do in a situation like that is slow those last couple reps way down. So if you chose a weight and it was too easy that you could easily do 10 more reps or 5 more reps beyond that, just slow the last few reps way down, and you will bring that intensity up as if you had more weight on it. Instead of worrying about, that was too light, I could have done more weight. It's like, choose a weight for sure you can get 10 reps in, and then if you find as you get to reps 6, 7, oh wow, this is really easy,
that's it.
Then those last 3 or 4 reps, I slow way down and intensify it that way, and you will reap the benefits of doing that.
That's right. No need to add more weight.
Okay, and then so if you have 4 sets of 15, do you need to try to add weight, or you just still try to stay at that 2 RIR or whatever you think that weight is as you go?
Either way is totally fine. And missing the rep target is not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. But either way, that's totally fine. By the way, there's 2 reasons why there's sets in a workout. One of them is because volume contributes to progress. The other one is because as you're doing the sets, you figure that out as you go through the workout.
Yep.
So, whether you add
Adjust
weight or
it
take
for
it
the
off.
next set, yeah.
But I mean, straight up these days, Cody, for me, my training, when I was younger, it was always about, let's see how much weight I could add. These days, it's about, can I make this weight feel heavier without having to add weight? So you'll rarely see me in the gym after a set, go back and add weight. I typically do exactly what Adam said. Okay, I want to do 10 reps. Can I make this feel hard at 10 reps is what I do these days. And it gives you great results and it perfects your form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently in phase 2, and with sets of 15, it doesn't take much for me to think it's hard.
Tell me about
a lot of reps,
especially in the lower body stuff. That's not
totally.
No, 100%.
not fun for me at all.
I feel you, dude.
But yeah, no, thank you guys. I really love the show. I don't miss an episode. I don't know, for maybe the past year, I've been listening probably every episode. Have a buddy that's been listening forever that tried to get me started, and I don't know, for whatever reason, but I finally did now, and I love it, man.
That's great.
Shout him out since he's the one that's been listening for a long time. Who is it?
Listen to your
That's
body.
Jan Bradford.
All right.
He was a personal trainer for a long time. He's doing other things now, but yeah.
Oh, smart.
that's great.
Smart personal trainer then, for sure.
yeah.
Right on.
Excellent,
Good
Cody.
stuff. Well, welcome aboard. We're glad we got you now.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all a lot. Thank you for everything you do.
All right,
got it.
Cody.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, what you said, Adam, is that's fitness maturity. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it is.
literally what my workouts look like now.
Yeah,
So I
evolve
go,
into that.
I do one warm up set, then I get into my set, and if it's too light, then I make it heavy by making it feel heavy. I almost never add weight, and I get better results.
Well,
doing that.
adding weight adds volume and intensity. Slowing down the reps adds that intensity
Yeah.
and the volume. So you're getting that by doing that. So it's the same. The body doesn't really know the difference.
Still
It just
progressive overload.
it feels intensity and it knows it's being overloaded. So this idea that we always have to stack weight on all the time.
That's mostly true the first 1 to 3 years of training, where it's important to just get stronger.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's like
It's really like finding those numbers for
That's right.
yourself. And then once you know those numbers, it's like, manipulating tempo and all.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with increasing the weight. So I'm not saying that either. It's just that it's not that big of a deal if you picked a weight too light. That's how you
right.
solve it. It's just
That's
sometimes I pick the weight and it's like perfect. It's like, oh yeah, right. The last rep or two was really difficult. And it's like, okay, it's a good weight for me today. Other times I pick it and I'm like, oh wow, this is a lot easier. And then I just slow it down. So you just don't have to overthink it.
Our next caller is Sloan from South Carolina.
Hey, Sloan.
How you doing?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
We're doing great. How can we help you?
Yeah. So I was wondering what y'all think about like the NASM certification for 16-year-olds, because I'm 16 and I am interested in like a career in health and fitness, and I was just wondering if like that's the best choice and like what I should be doing for anything to like set me up for success in this field.
Wow,
Wow, so exciting.
Yeah. First of all, okay. So I also see in your question that you're also you're shadowing at a physical therapy clinic as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are way ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no. Like, if I had to, if you were
awesome.
if you were a company, I would buy stock because you're for sure going to do well at your age doing these things already. NASM is great for education. When it comes to education and learning things like general structured programming, biomechanics, anatomy, I think that they're absolutely the best. So go through them, learn all you can, and then the most important thing you can do that will help ensure your success is to get mentored by other trainers or coaches who are really doing a good job. So the fact that you're already shadowing at a PT clinic is excellent. What you're going to learn in the physical, and I'm sure this is what you're paying attention to, but learn correctional exercise there. They're the best at correctional exercise. And trainers that know correctional exercise are so far ahead of other trainers. It's one of the most valuable skills that you can get. So keep doing that. And then when you get old enough to train, because most gyms won't let you train unless you're 18, when you get to that age, then find a gym that has good management and staff that you could shadow and learn from. But NASM's a great choice.
I mean, I could only imagine turning 18 years old and you coming in to apply at my gym, and you've got 2 years of shadowing experience at a physical therapist. You have NASM and you have NASM corrective exercise specialist under your belt.
Hired.
I don't see
excited.
Hired.
I don't see anybody not giving you a job. So that's probably what I would do. I think NASM is a great start. That's a perfect foundation for all pursuits related to personal training. Getting the shadowing in like you're doing right now at the physical therapy. And then the next cert I would do is the corrective exercise specialist, which hopefully will be somewhat familiar to you because you're working and hanging around a physical therapist. So a lot of the conversation and the communication around the exercise programming will seem similar and will help you through that. Those two certifications with that experience, it would be hard for you to not find a job. It'd be very easy to get a job.
What's your favorite part right now about training?
I mean, I just love the idea of helping people. And I mean, strength training specifically has just been such a huge part of my life as far as like my mental health and obviously my physical health as well. So I just think that it would be a career where I could share that with people. Sounds really amazing.
What got you into this at your age?
Well, when I was like 14, I struggled really badly with an eating disorder, and really the only thing that was able to effectively shift my mindset from being as small as possible to like anything else, was strength training and just the gym and becoming strong. So yeah, and there's nothing, no therapy and any motivational, nothing was able to help me as much as going to the gym was. And it's the only thing that hasn't been kind of toxic for me as far as exercise, because everything else before strength training would go downhill very quickly.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Who introduced you to fitness? Who got you introduced?
Well, I mean, honestly, just the internet, people like y'all listening to your podcast and just searching out information, trying to help myself a little bit. And then my dad was definitely a big part of it as well, but I don't think he really knew how, to what extent it has been a part of my life. So
You're very growth minded. Has anybody told you that?
no.
Yeah, you're very, very growth minded. You're going to do really, really well. Keep staying on this path. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Do we have you? Are you in any of our trainer groups? Are you following any of our training advice and stuff like that?
No, sir.
Okay, so we have a training page on Instagram, and then we have a Facebook group for trainers. Are you watching any of our webinars? Or we just released 3 episodes for trainers. Did you listen to those?
I did. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you're going to do great.
Yeah.
You're going to do really, really
so
great.
far ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, I can't imagine how great of a trainer you're going to be just when you first start out.
You stay in touch with us over the next couple of years. Maybe you'll come work for Mind Pump.
That's it.
So
Right. Thank y'all.
Never know.
Not even joking.
Yeah, for real.
Not even joking. Tell your parents good job, by the way.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yes. That's so awesome.
yeah.
That is so
Rad.
awesome.
Yeah, already.
She even communicated it so well as a kid.
I know.
Over how it helped her. I
Yeah.
know. But I mean, if she's already at a PT clinic learning from physical therapists, she's going to start day one light years ahead of everybody else that just gets started.
Forever to get to that
a
point.
physical therapy background with NASM and corrective exercise specialist through NASM, and you are a lethal trainer right out the gates.
Yep.
Like 90% of the type of clients that you'll get.
Yeah, just that alone gets you a career.
Yeah, you'll be able to service most of your people. I was just talking to a family friend about this. Like when you get into personal training, you end up training. Normally, not everybody this is, but this is overgeneralization. For myself, most people I know end up training totally different than what you thought you were going to train. I mean, I think as a young kid like this that was getting into fitness, I thought I was going to be training athletes and bodybuilders and people that really cared. Like none of my clients were like that. Maybe 1% were like that. The rest were normal ass people.
That's why it's so rare. I mean, she's in that clinical setting. She's learning, absorbing all like the stuff that really matters already. It's like, wow.
And you called it, dude. As she was talking, I'm like, I wish she was old enough to hire. Yeah. That I could tell right out the gate. Like she has the character and the kind of heart that we're looking for with trainers that work for us. Yeah. I mean, she's a killer. That's great.
Well, hopefully we can find her in 2 years.
Yep. All right. I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. How strong should you be? Ever wonder if you're actually strong, or at least compared to people like yourself? Today's episode, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to help you determine how strong you should be, and also talk about the steps to getting strong as fast as possible. In fact, we're going to talk about the fastest way to get bigger and stronger all at the same time.
Just
I know
keeps
you
Adam up at night.
Yes, it does actually, and I know that you wrote a really complex episode here, but I think Justin's metric has been the one